The schedule was released last night. I made my reaction video, which was pretty live, even though it was recorded because I didn't edit it and it was live. But I got to sit down, look at the schedule a little bit more, look at the opponents and all this other stuff. And we're going to break it down and look at kind of the little nuances of the Miami Dolphins schedule. What is up, Finn fans? Let's address something before we jump into this video. So, last night, I made my reaction video to the Miami Dolphins 2025 schedule. And you guys have to realize something. I was like, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to look at it with fresh eyes. I'm not going to edit it. Let's get this going, blah, blah, blah. As I'm trying to find the 2025 schedule, I went to the Dolphins homepage and I'm like scrolling and I'm like, it says 2024 schedule. But I don't remember starting with the Colts last year. This was, all right, I'm trying to find it. And the whole time in my head, as a content creator and as somebody who is trying to give you the information and updates and everything in a quick manner without boring you, because there's been plenty of times whereas I'm rambling now, people would be like, video starts at 3 minutes. I'm like, don't bore them trying to search for it. Find it, react to it. Don't make this video 30 minutes of you. So I kept seeing 2024. I'm like, nope, move on. Don't bore, don't dilly-dally, move on. And obviously that 2024 schedule was the Miami Dolphins 2025 schedule. So a lot of the comments in yesterday's video are, it was right there. This isn't easy. This isn't easy. A lot of people think I just sit down here and talk out of my butt. Nope. A lot of research, a lot of editing, a lot goes into this. So it's not easy. Sorry. I apologize. But I will say this, if the shoe was on the other foot, I would be like, oh my God, he's killing me right now. He's literally right up on it. So I get where you're coming from, but I did get some people who were like calling me dumb and stuff. And I was like, wow, let's see you sit down and do this. It's not that easy. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at a bunch of different things, because Warren Sharp goes into like details on certain things of the schedule and a bunch of stuff. Now, I wish he did, like, he goes into details on other teams, but unfortunately he didn't like release fully everything, because obviously he has to go through all 32 teams. But I do have the Dolphins one, which is a blessing. So we will go into that. He has all this stuff, and I don't want to mess it up. Again, here I am rambling. So we're going to jump into this. So let's jump into it, and here you go. So this is what I was looking for all day last time, because it's a nice clean, because even you go on the Miami Dolphins official site, each like game is like, you get like 2 games fill the screen. I wanted this. I wanted the entire thing to see where the bye week was. Like, this is what I initially wanted to see. Ooh, bye week. That's the first thing I always look for and everything. Anyway, we already went through this. You already know the schedule and everything. The thing that I noticed while running through it again, they don't play at 4 o'clock. They're all 1 o'clock games, right? Don't play at 4 o'clock. They don't play on the West Coast. I think the furthest they travel is, I think Cleveland. Yeah. Cleveland is the furthest they travel. They don't travel a lot, the Miami Dolphins, which also benefits them. Not a lot of, I talked about this, but not a lot of road games back to back. You have 2. Cleveland, Atlanta, and then you have New York, Pittsburgh. But again, New York, Pittsburgh, these aren't far travels. Going to Atlanta from Miami isn't a far travel. The farthest they travel is Cleveland. Going to the New York and then Pittsburgh, again, it's like a 2-hour plane ride versus going all the way to the West Coast, which the Chargers have to do. Going from the West Coast to the East Coast is a bit of a travel. So there's that. The other thing is we won't really, and if you notice in my reaction video, I didn't go game by game and picking, because you'll see that people are already going game by game and they're picking what the schedule and what the teams are going to do. And I always wait until the Wednesday before the season starts, because injuries can happen in the training camp, trades can happen, a lot of things can happen. But even when I do it the week before the day before the season starts, I even give you a big disclaimer that take my record prediction with a grain of salt, because a lot could change. If you remember last year, we had a gauntlet at the end of the year and it ended up not being a gauntlet, and we beat the 49ers and we beat the Browns. Also, injuries happen. I predicted the Dolphins were going to win 11 games last year. They won 8, but if Tua was healthy, I honestly think they would have got to 11. So there's a lot of things that could change. But the biggest thing is you don't know what the NFL is. You don't know who's good or bad until week 5. That first 4 weeks of the season, you have no idea who's doing what. Like, the Dolphins are facing Mike Vrabel, new head coach with the New England Patriots, week 2. What will they be? Week 4, you're facing the Jets, new head coach. What will they be? They need time to gel. They need time to understand the new offense and defense. They need a lot of time. So you won't know what the NFL, like, look at the Cincinnati Bengals. How many times week 1 do they suck? Like the one year they threw, I think Burrow threw 4 interceptions against Pittsburgh, and they ended up being really good at the end of the year. You don't know. But again, little nuances that I noticed. No 4 o'clock games. Don't have to travel far. Only 3 cold weather games, which I think is amazing. Yeah, I like the schedule a lot. I also like the week 12 bye. Like, a lot. I wish it was week 10, because it's kind of in the middle, but the 6-game stretch isn't as scary as you would think it would be, because again, you got the Saints, the Jets, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Tampa Bay, New England. The only one out of those 6 that scare me is Cincinnati because of their offense, and Tampa Bay because I like Baker Mayfield. Outside of that, I know Pittsburgh is Pittsburgh and yada yada, but it's like the Jets, they're always the Jets. New England, what will they be at the end of the year? And I don't care about the cold narrative anymore. You don't want to deal with that cold narrative. You win the games. But again, that's the only cold games, is the final 3 games of the season. Outside of that, you're in Cleveland in October. You're in Buffalo in week 3. Like, there's no cold weather games for Miami to really have to deal with. So it's beautiful. I like the schedule a lot. So now get into some nuanced things, right? So this is, again, Warren Sharp, go follow him. 2025 NFL strength of schedule. Again, you know how I feel about the strength of schedule. Weeks 1 to 11. It's pretty easy for the Chargers, the Packers, and the Bills. And look at that, Miami number 4. Now, what they're going off of is the fact that New England had a bad record. The Jets had a bad record. Carolina had a bad record. Cleveland had a bad record. That's what they're going off of, that win percentage. And obviously the season could go differently with those teams, but you look at that and then you look at, let me move myself, Detroit. Oh, it's like a huge drop off for Detroit. Like, holy crap. And again, the Jets will be facing teams and with winning records and all that stuff. That I find interesting. The other thing I find interesting is, this is what we'll get to, this. Now, you might be looking at this going, what am I looking at? This is the entire schedule for each team. And what I did is I went through Miami's, which is right here. I can't really highlight it. It's right here, if you can see. And I went through each opponent, and then I went and I saw, who did they play the week before? And by doing that, I found something very, very interesting. So week 4, Miami. Week 4, the Dolphins go to Buffalo, right? We'll look at it this way. Week 4, Miami goes to Buffalo. Buffalo, the week before that, they play the Jets. Now, is that going to be hard? Is that going to be easy? I just find that interesting. Week 5, Carolina. We're in Carolina. They play the Patriots the week before. And I do think that Vrabel is going to get that Patriot defense up to snuff. I don't know about their offense. That's an interesting matchup. The Chargers, not only are they going from the West Coast to the East Coast, here, let's look this up. So you got the Chargers here. but they have to face Washington, which is going to be difficult for them, having to face Washington, the Chargers. Then you have Atlanta, who the week before has to play San Francisco in San Francisco. So they have to go from the West Coast back home to play Miami after playing the 49ers. Are the 49ers going to be better or worse? I don't know. Then you have Buffalo again the week before. They're facing the Kansas City Chiefs. Hard opponent. Washington, they have to come over to Madrid after facing the Detroit Lions. Interesting matchup there. And then you have Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, right? Back-to-back Monday night, Sunday night games, right? Prime time. This is crazy to me. Pittsburgh the week before will be facing Baltimore, and Cincinnati the week before will be facing Baltimore. So for Pittsburgh, week 14, they're facing Baltimore, then Miami. And then Cincinnati, week 15, they're facing Baltimore, then Miami. So a lot of these games, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games, are facing very hard opponents. As of now, things can change before they have to face the Miami Dolphins. And the Dolphins aren't facing any teams that have a bye week before. And that's kind of where this comes into play, right? Because you look here, the bye weeks don't start until week 5, right? So Miami week 5 is playing Carolina. Carolina doesn't have a bye week. Miami is playing the Chargers. Chargers don't have a bye week. Like, none of the teams that the Dolphins will be playing are coming off of a bye, which helps them like incredibly. I don't even know the words I want to use right now, but it's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So real quick, we will look at Sharp's thing here, right? Miami Dolphins 2025 NFL schedule. 9th easiest schedule overall. Just one opponent is expected to have a winning record in the first 5 weeks. We'll see how that pans out. But they have 3 games in the Northeast in December and January with those 3 cold games. Dolphins since 2017 in December or January based on game sites. So home, they are 16-6 and 15-7. And then away, they are 5-15 and 7-13. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Since 2017. So it's better to be home. And again, we're half and half. 3 games at home, 3 games away. So in 2025, in December and January, away against the Jets, Steelers, and Patriots, home against the Bengals and the Bucks. And this is kind of how the schedule plays out. Opponents forecast wins based on the 2025 season win totals. So, you got your 3 hard games right here, and then these are kind of mid tiers, and then you have your easy games here. So if the Dolphins win their easy games, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, they go 10-7. And then if you split, you win one of these, they go 11-6. Do I think they'll go that? You'll have to wait until the Wednesday before the season starts, but I find that very, very interesting. Then I want to talk about what Marcel Louis-Jacques talked about with the Miami Dolphins and their schedule, right? So he says the Miami Dolphins 2025 regular season schedule was released Wednesday, revealing another season in the spotlight of Mike McDaniel and company. The nation's eyes will be on the Dolphins as they try to prove missing the playoffs last season was an anomaly. It's the first time under Mike McDaniel. They'll play 5 primetime games in 2025, and then the Madrid game, which is nationally televised, so I consider it a primetime game, but it's not primetime after 8 o'clock. But he's in that Monday night game. Another nationally televised game, Washington. Tua returns to an office that experienced a steep decline in 2024 and hopes to stay healthy after missing a career-high 6 games. I think we all can. General Manager Chris Green made a point to build a more physical team with Kenneth Grant and Jonah Savai Nea. I think it's Savai Nea. One of the easiest schedules in the league in terms of 2024 win percentage. Miami will seek to end the Buffalo Bills 5-year run. I doubt it. And this is the schedule. Again, until we beat Buffalo, we're not beating Buffalo. Plain and simple. We beat Buffalo week 3, then I think we'll beat them week 10. But until we beat Buffalo, we ain't beating Buffalo. Over under 8.5. I'll tell you how I feel in that time. Biggest takeaways. They have an opportunity to start hot in the first 2 months of the season with 6 of their 8 games coming against teams that did not make the playoffs in 2024. Granted, neither did the Dolphins. But if they want to prove last season was an outlier, they could build confidence and momentum with their early season slate. A potential problem, 5 of those first 8 games are on the road. Gotta do better on the road, especially if you want to do anything in the playoffs. Circle this date. Of course, the international game against the Commanders. Not only is it historic, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. Key stretch. Week 9 to 11. Miami plays the Ravens on Thursday Night Football, hosts the Bills 10 days later, and then travels to Madrid to face the Commanders. The Dolphins will probably be underdogs in all 3 games, and they've struggled to beat winning teams over the past 3 years. Winning all 3 games is a tough ask, but avoiding 3 straight losses here would be a positive sign for the team's development. And again, there could be a Jaden Daniels sophomore slump, or, you know, something could happen here and there where they're not a 500 or better team and people are going to be like, because things change. Like I said, a bold prediction from my man Marcel. The Dolphins will finish with a winning record on the road for the first time since 2020 under Mike McDaniel. Miami owns a 10-16 road record, but look at it at its opponents away from South Florida this season. Pittsburgh, Atlanta, Cleveland, Carolina are winnable games, or at least 2 of the Dolphins' division games are on the road. This is the year McDaniel's team turns things around away from home. I hope so. Will the Dolphins be able to avoid the late season struggles? Miami's 7-10 since 2022 in regular season games played in December and January, with 3 road games and 2 primetime matchups against the Jets, Steelers, and Bengals, Bucks, and Patriots to close out the season. The Dolphins will face adversity as they look to right the ship in late season contests. The Miami Dolphins need to get their heads out of their tuckuses. If they can get themselves straight, and they still have to address the cornerback position because it's still very sketchy, and they apparently, and I will talk more about this probably the weekend, some things that I missed this week, but they reached out to Rasul Douglas, couldn't come to an agreement, and then he went and met with, I think, Washington, but nothing he hasn't signed with anyone, so hopefully the Dolphins can, you know, come back to that and try to get Rasul Douglas signed. I'm not saying he's going to make the secondary, you know, that much better, but they need help in the secondary. If our trenches can be better with the additions we've added, and hopefully more, and Tua can stay healthy, and our receivers can go back to the way they played in 2023, and the team can stay healthy, because again, to me, the collapse of 2023 had a big part to do to injuries and who got injured. This team could be interesting. And that's all I'm going to say, because again, I need to see what they can do in training camp. I need to see what they could do in preseason before I sit here and tell you how I feel good or bad about this team. But the schedule isn't bad. It's not a bad schedule. But again, I'm looking at it in May. A lot can change from May to September. And a lot can change from September to October, October to November, November to December. A lot can change. So all of these predictions and all of these, you know, schedule record predictions and yada, yada, take them with a grain of salt, because a lot can change. I don't know how many times I could tell you when the season started, people were looking at this stretch of games and saying, how are they going to pull that off? And then all of a sudden we get there and they're like, wow, Dolphins got an easy remaining of the schedule. I wish, you know, they're not a team to take seriously because they haven't beat anyone good. It happens every year. But then they'll clamor Buffalo, even though they have the same exact schedule except for like 4 games. So it's just funny to me. But again, take all these things with a grain of salt. But this is an interesting schedule. Like I said, no 4:00 games. A lot of the opponents we were playing are playing harder opponents before us. But again, we'll see if that stays true. Yeah, it's very interesting. And the fact that we got 5 primetime games and then a 6th that is nationally televised is bananas. But again, last year, that Cleveland game was supposed to be Sunday night and ended up not being. But we do have back-to-back Monday night, Sunday night games. What? I think we have 2 Sunday night games. No, we have 2 Thursday night games, 2 Monday night games, and a Sunday night game. Hey, man, I'll take it, even though we do horrible in prime time. So change the narrative. Just change it, Miami. Do I think they will? No. Do I hope they do? Yes. We will see. I'll see you tomorrow. I got a special video for you guys tomorrow. But like usual, stay classy and fins up.